Hi, my name is Mike Rogers. We're out here in Rio Verde, Arizona on the Lazy T Ranch where we train rope horses. I'm an MSK guide recipient. I was originally born and raised in Riverton, Wyoming. My family rodeoed and cowboyed when they were growing up. I really didn't start rodeoing until probably 97, 98 after I graduated high school. And when I did, I was a PBR bullfighter. That's where I started rodeoing at, was fighting bulls. And I picked up a rope and I'd been roping, and I started ranching and working on some ranches in Florida and upstate New York. Probably about the 2000 to 2003, somewhere in there, is when I really started roping a lot. I'd always been around horses. I'd always been involved with horses. I just never did rodeo. My mom was a rodeo queen. My mom team roped. My grandfather was a bareback rider and he bulldogged and team rope. I go back a lot with family of rodeoing, but I just, with where my family was at and the time and place, rodeo just wasn't an option at that time. I had 3 younger brothers and the cost and everything. And so I played football, I wrestled. That's what my mainstay was. Rodeo trail is excruciating. It's days in a truck. And that was another reason when I first started rodeoing, I didn't have the money for a horse. I didn't have the money for, a truck to be able to run down the road. But fighting bulls and rodeoing, I got a paycheck wherever I went. As long as I got there and I did my job, I got paid. The first horse that I rodeoed on was a horse that I bought. I had been starting a lot of colts, and I got into colt starting competitions and stuff like that, and was trying to make a mainstay of being and starting colts. And I still start quite a few colts, but I never had that finished rope horse. I never had that ability to get one. And there was a gentleman in Florida that had one, just borrowed it from him, and I was like, oh, this is where we need to go. I shattered my leg in '06. My right leg, I had a titanium rod in it. That kind of ended where I was fighting bulls. I wasn't fighting bulls no more. And so I just started riding. The first horse that I owned as a rope horse came from a guy in Missouri. He was an old Mexican horse. His name was Cortez. He was older, and not a whole lot of people got along with him, but I got along with him. I traded a colt for this old horse, and I had him, and that's what started everything for me. He ended up having a heart attack. He was an older horse and died. But that was what started where I wanted to rope. Just kind of lit the fire for what I wanted to do. Then I shattered my leg. A horse flipped over on me. I fought bulls for a living, and a horse flipped over on me and shattered my leg. And then I moved back towards Missouri, where my parents were living at the time. And my whole goal is I wanted to get back. I wanted to get back to the Rockies. I wanted to get back west. That's where a lot of my family had been on my mom's side, and that's where I really felt at home. I was training horses in Missouri, and I had an opportunity to go to Rexburg, Idaho. Kid had been working for me, and I took some horses out to him. That got me back to the mountains somewhat. Then I just ranching up there. I worked for a big ranch up by Salmon, Idaho. Really awesome family, the Whitakers at the 2 Dot. They were unbelievable. Then we had an opportunity. We leased our own place. We started running cows and yearlings. Then we lost the lease on it. And then I was coming to Arizona, and I was welding. I'd learned how to weld over the years, and so I came down here and I built fence and everything. And I met a gentleman down here in Arizona last year that owned a big ranch in Wyoming. And he asked me, he goes, you want to come to Wyoming and build me an outdoor arena? I said, where at? He goes, 10 Sleep, Wyoming. We packed all of our stuff. We went to 10 Sleep, Wyoming to work for the Lazy T Ranch. And I built him one of the nicest arenas I'd probably ever fathomed to be able to build. Over the summer, I cowboyed for him, and I was still working on my futurity horse that I'd planned on showing this year, and he offered me a job to help train horses and rope horses for him. And now I'm in Rio Verde, Scottsdale, Arizona, on probably the nicest place I've ever been in my life, doing what I love, training rope horses every day. So a day in the life of us now being in Arizona, we get up in the morning at 6 o'clock. We feed horses, start saddling about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. We run steers in. There's be days we'll go through 7 head of horses. There may be days we go through 4. But literally our whole deal now is we saddle up and we work on young horses, and we start these rope horses, and we rope every day. I think the list of injuries I could put in and it would take up a notebook. I mean, I've dislocated my shoulders, I've broke my leg, I've broke my ribs, I've had concussions, oh heck, my mom would probably tell you from the time I was 15 till the time I was 35, I used my body as a playground. And I look back now and there's injuries that I didn't feel when I was younger that I feel now. I'm 47 now. I'm still young. I deal with my leg now. My leg's no big deal. It's done, it's over. Only time it affects me is when the barometric pressures change, when it's going to rain or get cold. I've learned to deal with that one. What I've had the problems with is I use my shoulder so much now. And one of my injuries when I was younger and I was fighting bulls is I got hooked and it ripped my shoulder out of socket and it tore everything in my shoulder. Never went and had it fixed. Never went and had any surgery. And it's just cowboy way. You just rub a little dirt on it, let's go. We ain't got time to sit around. I'd say back in, it had to have been 2015, 2017, I had a horse jump a ditch and the ground was froze. And he hit the ground and fell down and hit my shoulder and broke the bottom part of the socket off my shoulder and ripped my shoulder apart. And we were supposed to go to the World Series finale to go rope. This happened in October and we were roping in December. And I was like, oh boy, I toughed it out and I did it. I turned all my steers. And I just endured it until they couldn't get no more. And I had shoulder surgery done 4 years ago. And the shoulder surgery went very well. I'd heard a lot of things, bad things, range mobility and range of motion and strength and everything. It couldn't have been worse than what I had when I roped. I looked like a T-Rex. I couldn't open up. I couldn't hardly swing no more. So I had the shoulder surgery done, but there's no cartilage left in my shoulder. I had less than 40% of my rotator cuff. He tightened it up. He tightened it up good. The doctor was a heck of a doctor. I did all the physical therapy. I did everything how I was supposed to, but I still had a pain in my shoulder. I was still trying to stretch it and get it where it needed to be. We came down here to Arizona, and it didn't really matter before this year because I roped when I had time. If I was cowboying, I might throw, you might throw 20, 30 loops a day, out doctoring or something like that. But it wasn't an everyday deal. I get down here in November, we got 32 head of steers, got a bunch of rope horses. All of a sudden, my shoulder's getting used more than it's been used in a long time. So then I started having a little bit of pain, and at night it'd get really, really sore. And I'm like, man, I have got to do something. I'd seen a bunch of people that had the MSK done. And I told my wife, I said, after the futurity, I'm going to get it done. She goes, okay. She goes, whatever you need to do. So after the futurity, I bit the bullet, and I was like, I had shoulder surgery, and that put me out for months. I was like, from what I've heard, the MSK deal, man, you're out for 10 to 14 days. Why not try it? And so we went in, and I had a consultation. We looked at it, and we did the shot, and we did it right then. I was in there for about an hour, hour and a half, but I think an hour of that I think was more of us talking, me and the doctor and Rachel talking and BSing, but the actual procedure was only 30 minutes. When I left, I could feel a difference, but they had a local numbing agent in it and everything like that. And I was like, well, you've done it. So, you held up on when you had surgery, you did everything you're supposed to. Now do everything Rachel says to do. And so we did. And it was the hardest thing for me to do because I had all these rope horses going. I had stuff I still had to do. I'm already wearing my wife out healing steers for me, day in and day out. And so I called a friend of mine. I said, hey, I had this done. I got these horses that need work. And I said, the only way for me to heal, I said, will you help me out and come ride these horses for me? I mean, you got to trust somebody to just step on some of these horses that you've got and trust that they're going to do what you've been doing with them. But my buddy, he's like-minded as like I am, a super good guy. He dropped everything he had going and he drove over. He rode my horses for 10 days while I was down and let me sit and relax. I should have probably done it a long time ago, and I should have relaxed a lot longer. They told me that, a couple days after the shot, I was going to get tight, things were going to be sore. And the first couple of days, I didn't feel that as much. Mine didn't really hit till about the 4th or 5th day, and it got sore. No icing, no anti-inflammatories, no nothing. I just used the MSK ointment that they gave me, and I just kept rubbing it on and just kept movement with my shoulder and just kept moving. I didn't lift anything. And then at about, it was probably about day 8, I'm pretty restless. I'm chomping, wanting to do something. I just said, you know what? This is going to work. Do what you're told. And sometimes I have a problem with that. But I've learned over the years, just listen and do what you're told. And so I did. And come day 10, I picked up a rope and I roped the dummy. And I'm like, holy cow. Because I had felt it starting to change. And I'd been doing some stretching and stuff like that. And I was like, oh boy, this feels good. Since that day, it's been nonstop. I don't rope as many steers a day as I did, just for pure fact. I don't want to stress it. I don't want to, re-injure it or anything like that. I've been trying to build it up. Almost coming on 4 weeks, I think, almost a month since I've had it done. I have an up and downs, and there's days I come out and I throw a saddle on a horse. I'll saddle like 3, be like, hey, that's what we're gonna do. I get done with that 3rd one and I'm like, man, I got 4 more I can ride. Let's go grab 2 or 3 more. I won't grab all of them, but I'll grab another, instead of those 3, I may ride 4, 5 that day. But then there's days I'm like, man, I felt good yesterday. Man, I'm gonna saddle 6 of them and I don't get through 2 of them just because it's sore. And so now I've gotten to more of a regimen. I'm icing at night. I take a couple Tylenol in the morning, not like I used to. I used to take Advil and Aleve, and I used to take anything you could just to knock the pain out. Now 2 Tylenol, I'm fine. Kind of does the trick. But I'm not stressing it the way I should, or the way I was. But I'm also finding out now that I'm activating other muscles that I haven't activated in probably 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer. And that's where I'm getting sore, is with those muscles that are activating. Yes, this has completely changed my life around. For one, my wife don't hear me moan and complain about my shoulder hurting no more. There were days I dreaded to go rope just because my shoulder hurt. But I knew I had horses to ride, and it was just like, I got to do it. Now, it's changed it. There's no more pain. It's just sore, and it just keeps getting better. I wish I would have done it years ago, but I wasn't in a spot to where I could. When they wanted to hire me from welding for them to help to start running the rope horse program, they asked me a question. I said, what would upset you if you found out 2 to 3 months after you'd taken the job? My answer was that if I found out in 3 months that my shoulder couldn't take it, I would be upset. It would detriment to me. And that run through my head because I knew my shoulder hurt, but I knew what I wanted to do. And now that I've done this, that's not even a question no more. The sky is going to be the limit with this deal. Lazy T has offered me an opportunity to do what I love to do. MSK has put me in a position to keep me healthy, to be able to do what I want to do. Now it's just up to me. Let your body tell you what you need. Let your gut tell you where you need to go. And don't try and take a shortcut. If it's easy, it's wrong. If it takes hard work and some sweat, it was worth it. The reward is so sweet. I look back at days that I sat and welded in 100-degree weather, grabbing pipes that were 80 to 100 degrees themselves and burning rod. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything I've done over my life, just for pure fact it's put me where I am and made me who I am today. I've got a good circle of friends. I've got an awesome place to work, doing what I love to do, but there was no shortcut to it. I don't ask for nothing. I just had to take the opportunity. I had to put myself in a spot to where we could get there. And now, spot we're at, and after the MSK, I don't see a ceiling. I just see more opportunity and bigger things to come.